The war gets closer to home every day. Some local lords are conscripting farmers to serve in the war.
That is exactly the reason why the Grey Cloaks were formed. Reliance on an untrained militia was part of the reason the Luskins overwhelmed us with ease.
The King of Shadows has amassed a great army. I think the lords believe that they need every available hand to counter this threat. The Grey Cloaks and Knights may not be enough alone.
Untrained farmers are generally used as shock troops. Casualties are high, and their effectiveness debatable.
Do you wish to conscript troops from the farmers? We may not need to conscript too many. There are plenty of recruits on your land that you've turned away from the Grey Cloaks. We will start training them as best as we're able. If the war comes to us, I'll make them as ready as I can.
Some way I can help? The Wendersnaven? What about them? Yes. Well, it is impossible to truly know the Wendersnaven, since by nature they are unknowable. You see, they see everything, know everything, and exist everywhere and nowhere at once. It's truly quite amazing. Their size is also a great source of speculation, whether they are mighty giants hundreds of Kelgars high, or whether they are so small they cannot even be seen with the naked eye. Oh, Wenderitham, of course. Wenderitham is up in the clouds. There's many gateways to reach it, scattered throughout the realms, but they are hidden from mortal eyes. Well, yes, but you see, there's so many other fantastical things in the realms. Does it really seem like it's that improbable after all? Think? Oh no, I certainly found one. It's quite the instrument, lovingly crafted with a clear tone. Yes, I know it may seem that way, but that is only one of the many wonders of the Wenda Kazoo. I love it so.
Life grows thick here, even in the middle of these dead mountains. It must be the presence of the dragon spirit that makes this place possible. Know that we should continue our search. The dragon cannot be far.
You dare to disturb me here? Were I not chained to this deathless existence, I would scatter your shattered bodies to the winds for your trespass. Yet instead, you roam unchecked within my remains, like parasites. What promises shall you make this time? You no doubt come at the heels of your masters, though they are not present. Lies! Why else would you be here in this, one scar in the earth, were it not at the command of the Ilfarn? I may rest upon the brink of death, but do not think me blind to what transpires on my grave. You are here because you again need my help, though you always refuse the price. Did you think you could cage a power of the plains? I will show you what it means to be caged. Together we shall remain here, to contemplate, to despair, to rot. I have been here for millennia. How long do you think you will last, mortal? Shadow? What shadow?
The King of Shadows has returned to this plane. Know that if he is not stopped...
This changes things. While I hate the Ilfarn, that is but a pale flame compared to my hatred for the King of Shadows. I have not heard that cursed name for a lifetime. My name is Nololoth Karagasant, but I know the weaknesses of the minds of mortals in shaping such words. You may settle with Nololoth, Once I was a great power, an ancient being of crystalline might. Once, now no longer.
Nololoth, you were the worm of legend that fought the King of Shadows.
Are you or are you not of Ilfarn? Dead. Then my last shreds of hope go along with them. It is a wonder that the endless decades have not driven me mad. I have waited for them for thousands of years. I was promised a new life, and instead, I have been abandoned, left to languish in this insignificant crack in the world. And when an eternity had passed, another fragile mortal appeared, no doubt seeking power. He called himself Armanjero and claimed to be of Ilfarn. You know this man, and I should trust you for what reason? That is not enough. Tell me now why you have come to torment me. And how am I to help, as impotent as I am now? For the mere chance of having a hand in destroying my adversary, I will help you. Ask your questions. The people of Ilfarn said many things, as did their leaders. They begged, filled the air with promises of glory and wealth, and I listened. Whatever your histories or seers have told you, know that I helped because I was promised the riches of the Ilfarn Empire. Worshipped? I am no god, but even if I were, it would not matter. The hearts of all things are covetous. Mine is not deceitful, as it were. Perhaps it can be, but the answer is not important. What is important is that you are resolute, that you understand your reasons for the coming battle. The King of Shadows will employ doubt and darkness before the battle is even joined. The people of Ilfarn were desperate. Their once defender, known only as the Guardian, had been corrupted and transformed into the shadowy being that haunts you today. The King of Shadows was once the light of Ilfarn. I do not know his identity. I cared little. The history of your people is littered with many such lapses in judgment, granting mortals power beyond the control of the ones they are intended to serve. The King of Shadows was once but an ordinary mortal, a great champion they called him, but still as fragile as the others. He was made into a creature fueled by the weave, tied into the fabric of magic. Its corruption was not the fault of the Ilfarn Empire. Directly, the Guardian was built to protect them from the Netherese, a kingdom that had learned many of the secrets of Ilfarn. However, an archmage of Netheril named Karsus dared to challenge mortality itself. He absorbed all the magic from the weave to ascend to godhood, and for a brief time, the Guardian was stripped of its life essence. Because the Guardian was a creature of the weave, it needed a replacement to survive. Like all creatures, it desired life, so it drew from the only alternate source of magic, the Shadow Weave. The Shadow Weave is a potent but tainted source of power. and it was not long before the Guardian himself was corrupted. The King of Shadows brought despair, and the men of this land wailed loudly enough to get my attention. I answered the pleas out of curiosity. When I confronted the leaders of Ilfan, they saw me as a potential ally in the fight against the King of Shadows. Never before have I met a being as relentless in its devastation. It exists by drawing upon the life and strength of others. As I grew weaker in battle, it only became stronger. Shadow triumphed that day. Defeat. Shortly after I first clashed with the King of Shadows, I knew that escape was necessary. The Guardian of Ilfan was relentless. It fought me until I fell from the sky. I don't know their rituals or methods. The winds chose to blow a certain way that day. Ultimately, chance is the great equalizer of the plains. It is by chance that worlds are created, that gods are made, and civilizations destroyed. And it is only by chance that you may succeed. The Ilfan. I fought the King of Shadows and paid the price for my arrogance. When it left, I was but a broken shell on a lesser plane. Atop this empty rock, I awaited the end. Presumably, your progenitors found a way to triumph despite my loss. They came to me and bound me with primitive magics. The years floated by like specks of dust in the still air. No one returned, and not even death could grant me peace. But many lifetimes later, they arrived, the Githyanki. I had a conversation once with men of the astral plane. They came with shimmering blades in hand, and desperation reflected in their eyes. Always it is about this King of Shadows. I have been deceived countless times by those it torments, and the Githyanki were no different. They came and pleaded for advice, their pathetic cities having been attacked by your adversary. In a sense, your prisons do not seem to be effective. Of course, mortals lack perspective and can hardly be expected to plan beyond a few thousand years. In truth, the King of Shadows had not yet left its prison. Slowly, it was ripping open a portal into the astral plane. This fissure allowed it to manifest itself in an avatar, a powerful Nightwalker. The Githyanki objected to its presence. Many cities fell to the King of Shadows. Even in its Nightwalker form, the Githyanki could not destroy it. Sword after sword shattered upon impact, and more cities fell. The Nightwalker could be hurt, but it could never be hurt enough. Not with 1,000 swords. Somehow, the Githyanki had come to learn that I had battled with the King of Shadows in the past. They promised to restore me if I helped them. Did I know how to empower a weak race? No. I told them to turn their blades upon the growing portal itself, should they be able to locate it. The mongrels left with promises and never returned. I decided that either death, that of the Githyanki or of the King of Shadows, would bring me some measure of satisfaction. Your adversary spreads its influence by corrupting its targets. until they no longer resemble what they once were. Eventually, all one can see is the shadow. It grows long and distracts us from what casts it. But a shadow can never become more than a weak outline. It may stretch and grow fearsomely large, but always must it circle its master. Your blade is no different. If the sword is to be made whole again, you must look past the pale shadows its broken pieces cast, and find the center from where the shadow emanates. If you do not, then there is no way in which the sword may be reformed. That, mortal, is only done through an act of will. There are beings in more chaotic planes that survive through such acts. The Githyanki have strong bonds with their weapons. These bonds are important to the creation of silver swords. Repairing a sword requires incredible strength of will. And how does one teach that kind of power? I cannot. Then that is where you must go now, mortal.
It will be perilous, but I believe we can use the song portal from the Ilfarn ruins to reach the Guardian ruins on the outskirts of West Harbor.
I can see from your eyes that this is what you came for. Now, I must ask of you. Always I have been promised recompense at a later date. Even now, my mind verges on insanity with the long years. For tolerating your presence, I make but one demand. Kill me.
You wish us to end your life?
This life is an abomination, and I am no longer content to wait for chance to rescue me from the void. To kill me, mortal, you must simply destroy my heart. Be warned, it attracts many beings of power that feed from it, as you have already noticed. My body is no more, but in its place, a new kind of life has sprung into being. My heart is all that remains. The last shreds of my life reside within. You may harm it now that I wish it to be so. Go now. I tire of everything.
Let us grant it sleep at last. Hurry. Other beings may be drawn to the crystal as we speak. These dragons have only rage in their eyes. Words will not avail us here.
A creature with compassion. My last wonder before oblivion. At last, for the first time in ages, I am freed of my shackles, free to move towards death once again. It feels right.
We are here, yet I do not feel the effect of the King of Shadows as I thought.
These ruins may be protecting us. They certainly are magical.
This place is still. Even the air hesitates in its crawl. Where the blade was shattered, the land will be marked. That is where we must go if we are to make the Blade of Gith as it was. The Blade of Gith is not simply a thing of pieces. When you bring the shards together, your will is what makes it complete, nothing else. I can guide you, help focus you, Kalakcha. But the way will not be easy, and the dangers will not be physical ones. The reasons are twinned. The scar on the land, your village, still holds some of the blade's strength. But the scar also lies within the domain of the King of Shadows. In remaking the blade in such a place, you give the sword of Gith a taste of our enemy. And once Gith's blade has tasted the essence of a foe, it never rests until its enemy lays dead before its master. We are here. This is the place. I can feel it. The scar runs deep. It is here that we must mend the blade anew and close the wound. Yet without your presence and focus, this is but a place. Is your will here? Your mind must be focused, clear. Your thoughts, your heart, will be the furnace upon which the blade may flow. Very well. Sit with me. Listen to my voice. Grasp the hilt and close your eyes. Hear not just my words, but the meaning behind them. Zerthamon's will, my will, your will. Let us all be as one. In this place, broken upon shadow, carved deep in earth, what once was sundered from two peoples born, make all that was scattered whole again, by the heart that guides the will, by the will that guides the hand, and the hand that guides the blade. And the hand that guides the blade. It was your will that reformed the blade. I merely walked with you. Only for you will the sword live. No longer do you carry the heart of the sword. Truly, now you are its heart. That is not the power from the blade you feel. It is your own strength, focused in the blade itself. Curious, the blade does not feel as I thought the blade of Gith would feel. It has a different note about it. A tone like an infant, a child, crying out. Know that the material of the blade is not as important as one might think. It is the will that guides it, that gives it power. Without what lies within your heart, this would be no sword, only a thing of shards. But enough of... Wait. Something comes.
How does it feel to be back home, Shard Bearer? Is that the famed blade? It looks so fragile, and little use without you to hold it together.
I think you will find its edge more than a match for shadow and mere words. Will you test it, Thrall of Shadows?
My master does not fear a poorly forged blade, nor a poorly forged hero. Yes, though such gains are trivial to one as powerful as my master. Almost as trivial as that precious sword of yours, in fact.
Hold the Thrall of Shadows at bay. I will give voice to its true name, by which it may be undone.
I brought some friends to help you with the recitation. You may recognize them. After all, they once lived in West Harbor.
Be careful. The poisonous shadow of this land clings to this reaver. We must hurry. It is done. We must leave. We cannot remain here within the claimed lands any longer. Shadows hide many truths, even from themselves. It will be enough, and you have proved it this day. You are our weapon against the coming darkness. And now the sword reflects that path. Know that you have traveled far, Kalakcha, and soon the King of Shadows will be upon us. Know that time was their ally before, but with the blade reforged, they will be forced to act more quickly than they thought, and fight more desperately than before.
So ends West Harbor. I spent so long watching this place that it's like my childhood has gone along with it. Then there is nothing more to say. I doubt anything will be built upon this site again. which means the mayor will come for it one day.
Then our path waits.
I've dispatched your minions, fiend. You're alone. Face me!
You will die like all those in Highcliffe, but I shall not soil myself with your blood.
What foul magic is this? Captain, you must know that Highcliffe has fallen. Tell Naval, we can't... Nasher! I failed!
You, my prey, was the cowards who fled the conquest of Highcliffe, but you are an unexpected prize. The King of Shadows will reward me greatly for bringing your lifeless husk before him in the Vale.
Keep it occupied while I recite the name. It will take some time to recite it, so keep him at bay until I am finished.
But why was Callum here? He was tasked with holding Highcliffe. A reaver falls, and so does Highcliffe. It seems no matter what our victories, the King of Shadows' influence grows. I must bear this news to Lord Nasher. We will need to ready the Neverwinter forces to march on Highcliffe. But before we commit our soldiers, Crossroad Keep must be prepared. Make whatever preparation you need at your keep. Then speak to me when all is ready for the army to march on Highcliffe.
It seems the Shadow Reaver has granted us a boon. With its death, we have the tome it held, the Tome of Iltkazar. This may hold the key to reaching the King of Shadows. But I think we should consult Aldenon in Crossroad Keep to be certain.
It is as if all the dead of the Mare walk, my lord. There are miles of them.
Then we shall make a road of their bodies.
The enemy comes! They are men who have died once, and they will die again! We are more than their match. They know nothing of courage, of honor. They have no loved ones they fight for. And that is why they will fall before our swords, our spears, for the gods are with us. Brothers, sisters all, standing side by side against death. Know that all of Neverwinter stands behind you. Let us remind them of death and send them back to the hells. To battle! The Nine! To me!
Lord Nasher! Let us fight to him. See if we can rescue him. The Nine, to me! Men of Neverwinter, Lord Nasher is wounded. Everyone to Crossroad Keep. We will make our last stand there.
Oh, there you are. Pardon me, but I was wondering if you happened to see Armangero about? I had some questions for him regarding the King of Shadows, and he seems to be rather elusive.
Looking for Jero? Old Tattoo Face left the keep a while ago. Thought you'd finally told him to shove off, Captain. I'm not one to say who leaves and who stays, Captain, and I don't seem to recall you ordering me to make sure he stays put, as if any of us could make him do anything except for you. I thought he was on one of those fetch and carries you love to do. If he's gone, so what? I can track him if you want. Personally, I think we should let him go or kill him. But that's just my copper on the matter.
Come to sift through the ashes, Armangero.
Corroborus.
I stayed my hand until you could see this ruin for yourself. This pain is something that I cannot inflict upon you in Beator. Here is where she played in her youth. There is where she slept. And in your sanctuary is where her body now lies, grave and tomb.
If you have come for retribution, you are a fool.
That you would think I would allow you to remain unpunished for my imprisonment. That is foolish.
Perhaps in your cowardly burrow you commanded power, but not here.
You should have enjoyed your freedom while you could. You know I'm more than a match for you.
Your skill in the craft is sufficient to give me pause. True, but I have learned from my mistakes while you are still making them, I think. You.
What are you doing here?
This one was present at her death as well. All loose ends tied together at once. I thank you for these gifts, Aman. You will have company as you burn in the hells.
I don't recall asking you to come with me. I won't bother asking how you knew I was here. You always seem to be underfoot, interfering with everything. If I needed your help to visit this ruin, I would have asked. But I was able to find my own way here. If I wanted to waste time trading words with you, I would have remained at the keep. That is not why I am here. There is something I placed here long ago that may be of use in our war now. Is it all it means to me? Yes, I never knew this place. Never knew my niece until you brought her to me. So should I feel something as I look at this place? I think not. It is a burnt ruin, and I've seen many of these strewn with corpses. Some caused by me, but many more caused by the King of Shadows. So it affects me little. That is because I know there will be hundreds, thousands, countless more unless the King of Shadows is stopped. And he must be stopped if people are to live. And so you pass judgment on me yet again. Do you realize how you sound, or are you deaf to it? As you condemn my actions, perhaps you should ask yourself how well you knew her. Really knew her. Indeed. Because from all that I have heard, you are constantly placing her in danger, and you knew very little about her at all. So your preaching is not only irritating me, it is a hypocrisy I commonly observe in the Neverwinter nobility, Captain. Very well, I am listening. That was a great deal more than I thought. She could have remained here and been safe, but yet she followed you. Why? Still, despite what you have said, she is still the reason why I have to fight this war. Because no one else has the strength to do it, or is willing to make the choices that I can. I did what I had to do, always. They were hard decisions, but they had to be made by someone. And if no one would do it, I would. And before you judge me for my crimes, perhaps you should look back. The trail of dead behind you is long indeed. Hero of Neverwinter, ask yourself truly if everything you have done has been done because you believe it was right. And then ask yourself if, because of it, the innocent have suffered. Yet your actions? Would you change them if you had to do them over? I did what I had to do, always. Always. The King of Shadows must be stopped. There is no middle ground in this. To save Neverwinter, of course. They didn't move fast enough, see the threat for what it was, so I acted. You're right. I won't argue it with you anymore. I will not condemn all I have done, but there are times I have acted rashly, and innocents have paid the price. It is pride. And it is arrogance. And I do wish I had known Chandra, even for a short while. I had thought her lost in the war, you know. And in the end, she was. I am sorry, Chandra. Wherever you walk now, forgive me. It seems the land has answered me. This looks to be a pendant of some sort. No, I have found what I was looking for.